Good morning. Welcome to TimEalerWX, and today I'm going to break down the severe weather threat, potential for severe weather in the Mid-Atlantic, and I would argue some potential for severe weather and flooding in the southeast. Although the area of most focus will be in the deep south in the coming days, and we'll go over that today in today's forecast. And based on my background in IT and weather, I have some unique experience with all those things, and using different models, I'll be able to portray that in a coherent way. Hopefully, you all get something out of it, and it'll be helpful to plan your week and days ahead here. What we'll do is we'll dive deep into the HRRR and short-range models and go over maybe the long-term models output showing the potential for a pattern change in the coming days as well. So today's severe threat focuses mostly on the North Carolina and Virginia and South Carolina area here, okay? And it's mostly focused on wind and hail risk, although marginal here, right? So not expecting any, you know, really high and severe weather up here. But overall, we have thunderstorms expected all the way back to Texas here, all the way up to parts of Virginia and Maryland. There's your flooding risk for today. You can see why the flooding is expected here, right? The QPF, the total precip that's expected, is highest down here in the Gulf Coast, right? With the storms moving through the area right now. You can see the storms here, and this is your excessive rainfall outlook for today. Now, moving into tomorrow, excessive rainfall moves further north. We take the radar off here, Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Georgia, parts of Louisiana, and Arkansas. And our severe threat ramps up again in this area tomorrow. We have a slight risk here now. Parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Arkansas, Louisiana. Alabama is in the marginal risk here. Parts of Arkansas, all the way back to parts of Texas as well, and into central Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way down to the panhandle of Florida, and general thunderstorms outside of that going into tomorrow. As part of that, we have this marginal 2% risk of tornadoes in this area tomorrow. All right, and you have a larger 5% risk of severe winds here. And here's where your biggest risk is your hail. You see that's what's driving this slight risk, right? Hail in the stippled area, possibly 2 inches of diameter or larger. So that's going to be the biggest threat tomorrow. But if you get one tornado that's relatively strong, that's going to ruin your day either way. So what's driving this severe weather potential and rainfall here, excessive rainfall and flooding potential? Well, we got a surface boundary that's sitting up across the southeast to start the period, and then it stays in place in the deep south, right, and parts of mid-Atlantic. So you could see the moisture going through Monday evening, and where it's the highest, 60-degree dew points move far off to the north here, right? And that's the result of the synoptic setup we're in here. You can see the deep moisture associated with this and where the heaviest rainfall will be today, excuse me, along the Gulf Coast here. And you see the system out west here based off this, total moisture, right? You can see this mid-level feature developing out to the west here, and it's going to eventually be the big player in our severe weather threat next week. So to start the period, this is looping around, but you see the instability is highest here in the mid-Atlantic, and then tomorrow in the deep south, and you see how it streams northward here, which is what's driving part of our severe threat here. You see the instability values, mixed layer Cape, relegated to the Gulf Coast here, streaming to the north into the northeast, and parts of the deep south. So severe weather will be probable where these Cape values are highest if all other parameters are in place to support this, right? So let's look at the mid-level flow here, analyze this. You see offshore here, this is our main player for next week. Well, first I want to dive into shear here with this system. We have the shear values, especially to start this. Let's go back here real quick. Some pretty high shear values here. 6 kilometer shear values in this area, right? This is Monday overnight Monday. and moving through the southeast, right? Of course, up here you have higher shear values, but air's going to be too cold, right? So, you know, to start off with, you have some impressive shear up here as well in the mid-Atlantic, and that's most likely what's driving this overlaps the highest Cape values and where convection can get going, right? And right, so that is the driving force there. Let's look at the upper levels real quickly here. 500 millibar heights here. Let's go to 500 millibar flow. All right, so you have your mid-level feature right here. So mid-level energy moving through the southeast, and that's what's might be bring some looks like will bring potential for like it's like an MCS or NCV moving through here with that push of potential severe wind gusts here, okay, along the Gulf Coast as well. Going back to the upper levels, so back to 500 millibars, right? That moves through the southeast. You have some other disturbances moving through. You see this mid-level feature here. You have another disturbance moving through the flow here. And that's might be part of our severe threat tomorrow into the deep south here, right? And some enhancement here as well. And this is where this ends here with this trough finally, this closed level finally make its way eastward here. So looking at absolute vorticity values here, we can see as we go through the day today into this evening, we have some vorticity increasing here in southern Georgia, right? And if you look at a sounding from this area, although lapse rates are pretty weak at the lowest levels and a pretty um, saturated thermal profile, we do have quite a bit of shear in the atmosphere, okay? And although it's directional, it could lead to some high winds here. The LCL and LFC are close together, which, you know, the convection can get going. We could have some severe wind gusts here. Hail is not likely with this profile. And I realize there's some corruption here with rainfall in this profile here. We go back 1 hour. Let's generate a new sounding here real quickly. It takes a minute to come through, but I wanted to show you this. All right. Yeah, still some contamination here, but you know, the lapse rates aren't that great, but highly loaded thermal profile with any rainfall that does fall will be very efficient with this today in this area. So as far as flooding goes and the amount of moisture we're going to have here, right? This is the forecast from the National Blend of Models, okay? And we got, you know, when we start off with this, right along the Gulf Coast, like we talked about, let's do it over a total period here. It gives us a better idea about flooding risk, right? So National Blend of Model shows the highest totals into Wednesday out to the west here. Now, the short range models, let's look at the HRR, what it shows here, right? And we talked about this a little bit, but in the short term, the highest amounts will be along the Gulf Coast. Go to 11Z, okay? Let's go to 10Z, which give me 18 hours of data here. Gulf Coast into the parts of central Georgia, along the North Carolina coast here, higher terrain out to the west there, and right along Texas coastline here. So most of this rainfall is ongoing right now as this system, like an MCS or MCV, moves through, right along the Gulf Coast, and moves through central Georgia, and then we get out to tomorrow into Monday morning, and most of the stuff is offshore at that point. So the bulk of the rain will be this morning into this afternoon, and then we get some calmer weather for most of the continental U.S. here. And I think we all understand, hopefully we do, why we get flooding, right? Well, you know, when we get more rainfall in a short period of time, which is happening pretty soon here along the Gulf Coast, you know, the drainage systems cannot handle the amount of rainfall during that short period of time. So flash flooding is an issue, right? Long-term flooding, probably not, but over time, you know, that can increase. So you need to be mindful of that. So this is one of the tools that I use. This is the WeatherWise radar app, right? It has multiple ways to look at things here, to include just an overall composite view of the radar with current hazards like the red flag warnings and high wind warnings out here, right? And also alerts you visually and audibly if you want to have it do that. And so I monitor this occasionally, and especially during severe weather events, um, and potentially go live here. You can see ongoing severe weather, special marine warnings here, special weather statements along the coast to see how the polygons are there. So that's important, right? I also use other methods to look at the models, right? So, uh, I can look at it from here if I want. Models go to HRRR and show me temperature here. Okay. Uh, let's see. Composite reflectivity. This is the model output, right? I don't normally use this in my forecast because it's graphically a little bit messy, right? But so anyway, if you want to present this in a way that's meaningful to the public, this is one way to do it here. So when we're talking about flooding concerns and severe weather, one of the things some things we need to look at is safety here, right? 12 inches of fast-moving water can carry away a small car, and 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock over and carry away an adult. And then, like between about 2 feet of fast-moving water can carry away most large SUVs, vans, and trucks. So, that's not a lot of water, guys. That's 2 feet isn't that high, really, right? Never drive around barricades. Most flood fatalities occur in vehicles, and 12 inches of water can sweep a car off the road. So, just don't drive through this. Say it's road closed, don't try to drive through there. Never drive through floodwaters, okay? Like I said, most flood fatalities occur in vehicles. And then when you do this, you put other lives at risk, people trying to rescue you. See these guys here in helmets? I mean, they don't want to be out there, right? And if you're ignoring the warnings and go out anyway, they have to try to come rescue you, putting their lives at risk, okay? So just don't do it, right? So moving into tornado safety, get off the road, drive to a designated shelter, basement, or safe room, right? Best option, right, in a house is a window, list room, or hallway on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Do not seek refuge in a vehicle outside or under an overpass. A highway overpass, and we've seen videos about this, people got lucky in that one. Do not do that. You block traffic for one thing, and they get a funneling of wind effects there. So your best option if you're stuck out there is to find a ditch, a lower area, right? And don't try to find shelter under a tree. Like if lightning hits that tree or flying debris, you can get killed much easier under a tree or overpass, okay? Now, we talked about tornado terminology. Tornado watch, most people know what a tornado watch is. Watch is just there's a possibility of tornadoes happening. Tornado warning, it could be just two different things going on here. Radar indicated and then actually confirmed on the ground, all right? So tornado emergency is an exceedingly rare situation. Catastrophic damage or violent tornado, this is where you need to take action immediately. You should already be in a safe area here if this is happening, right? Now, when you have a PDS tornado watch or warning, it may accompany severe thunderstorm watches or warnings if you have some really high winds with the ratios and things like that. So you could have a PDS tornado watch, PDS tornado warning, PDS tornado warning as well, things like that. So keep that in mind. Here's the thunderstorm risk categories. Your thunderstorms, no label, no severe storms expected, isolated severe storms, marginal risk, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. High risk is reserved for the most severe events, and you don't see that very often. Even moderate risk, you don't see very often either. And the SPC has upgraded their different conditional intensity groups, and we'll talk about that in a different segment here. But this is good enough for now. Here's your severe weather hazards: tornado, hail, lightning, wind, and flooding. Could be any of these. So to summarize all this, the severe threat isn't as much as it's been in the past several days, so it gives us a little bit of a break, but we still could have severe weather in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia today, moving into tomorrow. Mostly a hail threat. You see here where the hail threat is, right? And we go further out. to day 3, we see we now have a slight and marginal risk, enhanced risk up to the north here, and we'll detail that more tomorrow as well. If we go into day 4, you see this slight risk going all the way up from Pennsylvania to Louisiana as well. Day 5 and on, not anything on the map for now, but stay tuned to my channel for further updates, and I'll be posting updates as necessary. Hope you all have a great day, and God bless.